Hello everybody, my name is Safi and welcome to Overcoming the Diet Mindset podcast. I am 7 years post-op and a training psychotherapist. On this podcast, my aim is to vanish crappy, fad dieting and unhelpful thinking, to reclaim our mindset with a little rewiring so we can stop yo-yo dieting and get off the roller coaster for once and for all. Hello everybody, welcome to episode 7. And in this episode, I'm going to round up my review of the book, A Pound of Cure by Dr. Weiner. If you haven't listened to my last episode, I covered the first part and tried to distill and really break down the science and biology to the best of my abilities. And ultimately, this is, I am my first student and I'm trying to help myself. So if I'm able to, impart that information and explain it to you, then that means I'm able to understand it and implement it myself, hopefully. So, very much go and have a listen to that. I'm going to now just round up my key learnings, the key points that I'll be taking away from this book going forward. And then I will share some of the stuff that I didn't agree with so much. But overall, I think this book is a very helpful book. And I do recommend that everybody goes and gets a copy or at least looks up Dr. Weiner on YouTube. He's got an abundance of information and that can be really educational, especially about the biology and metabolic set points. And he can explain that beautifully, a lot better than I can. And I'm not being self-deprecating. It is what it is. But bear with me. I hope you get, even if you get the tiniest of nuggets from this and it's helpful, then it's worth my time of recording this podcast. So I'm going to start from the beginning. I'm going to be concise today and not go off on too much of tangents. And that's very difficult for me. So bear with. So the doctor states that obesity ultimately is a side effect of solving food shortage in the West. So we used to have food famine, we didn't have enough food in the West, especially after the Second World War. And then, we discovered how to solve that problem, but with processed food. So in the West, there's nobody starving to death. We don't have, those issues. We still very much have those issues in a lot of the, loads of other parts of the world, but not in the West. So processed food is amazing. It has a purpose. And however, we've gone a bit to the other side. So now if you pop into any supermarket in any city, fresh fruit and vegetables and anything that's whole and nutritious will probably take up the smallest aisle, or will be hidden away in right at the back of the supermarket, and so on. So temptation is everywhere, and the problem is for some people, and the doctor states that nobody really understands, and science is not able to measure it at the moment, why processed food affects, let's say, Peter, but not Paul. So, for example, if Peter and Paul are brothers and, let's say Peter eats a donut and never gains weight, he can have as many donuts. But if Paul just has half of the donut or one donut, will end up gaining, 14 pounds. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean. We all know that one person that eats all the junk food in the world but never gains weight. And then there's this person who just happens to sniff at a bit of chocolate and then gains weight. So what is it, and why does our body react to processed food the way it does? The doctor acknowledges that the food industry is a huge, it's a big industry. It's a powerful industry, and they make a lot of money from processed food. So, that is working against us. So if we think about it, there's the food industry, there's the medical community that's a lot of it, by large, just thinks it's still very much, calories in, calories out, and then that we know that comes with a lot of bias of the way that people who have weight issues are treated in the medical community. Popular media, especially in the UK, and I'm sure it's the same. You will always have those big, headlines about obese people eating too much, being couch potato, all those stigmas, attached, all those micro information being fed to the larger society, especially in England, where a lot of the times the headlines are, the amount of resources that fat people are taking up, especially via the NHS, and the fact that we are drain on society. That's very much the narrative that is deployed by popular media in the UK. So far we've got the food industry, we've got the medical community, we've got popular media, and then let's not forget we also have the diet industry that is just making money from all this, and it's there to just give us a bit of a carrot, a bit of hope, and then it's cashing in hugely, and we know that industry is worth billions. So there's that going on, and then so we've got that. We've got I did very much try to explain set points and the fact that our bodies are there. Our body's smart. Our brain is very smart, and our body's one job, especially our brain's one job, is to keep us alive. So, as soon as we go on one of these fad diets and we lose a couple of pounds, then our brain sets in and combats all that. And, as far as it's concerned, is in danger. So it employs everything that it's got and ensures that we stay alive. And that's the brain's main job. So the brain in its toolbox has hormones, has brain signals to make sure, that we slow down. And we've all heard that, weight loss slows down your metabolism. That is very much true, according to this doctor. Well, and everything else I see. So our brain deploys all that. It deploys that, it utilizes the hormones to make us hungry, signals to make us feel sluggish, and it slows our metabolism down. So all that combined together for a human being, it's exhausting to try to work all that out. That's before we talk about emotional eating, what that's doing to our psychological well-being, and how that is impacting us. I'm not going to go too much into the rest of the book, because the rest of the book, as much as I very much like Dr. Weiner's work, is very much it's too close to home for me. It's very much a take this out. It sounds very much like a diet plan is. So for me, I'm going to keep myself safe because it's triggering, and I don't want to be triggered in any way into wanting to restrict and then going back into that cycle. So if you're somebody like me, keep yourself safe. However, I think this book would be really good for somebody who can work with a professional who's able to just use it to tweak their eating habits, to lose some regain, or to use it alongside medication or other resources to just to adjust that set point. I applaud Dr. Weiner for ensuring that this is a resource that he thought would be really helpful for people who are struggling after weight loss surgery. However, I don't want to. I've very much moved away from demonizing food, and I think what I'm gonna adopt and move towards is more of, crowding out some of them less healthier food, by adopting more of, and this is very much, is a thread that runs through his book, of eating a pound of vegetables and fruit. I don't know if I could do a whole pound, but I'm going to definitely eat more vegetables and fruit and in every meal. And I love the idea of, making sure that all my plate is balanced and have as much fruit and vegetables in my diet, so to crowd out, so there's very little space left for those naughty foods. However, I still very much want to be part of my life. I think life is way too short to eliminate everything that you enjoy, and I don't want to be skinny and miserable. So I think for me, it's a mindset shift. It's all about balance. It's all about eating things that make you that you enjoy, but for the right reasons, not to escape or to soothe myself. So if I'm out with my friends and everybody's drinking, I don't drink alcohol, but then I can drink, a can of Coke. It's not the end of the world. So I want to very much keep that balance going. He does, however, walk you through the plan. He does say that if there's no rush and you could, take your time with going through the plan, and he does talk you through it. So I think it's a good tool. It's something to have in your back pocket just in case you need that bit of support. So I think that's it, really, to be honest. I think going forward, I'm gonna adopt eating more whole food, and I think that's what we should all try to do, because ultimately it's what's healthy for all of us. And everybody's different. We've all got different genetic profiling, so one thing may work for me, and the same thing may not work for you, even though we seem, we've got exactly the same issues. But so I think it's really important to do your research, see what sits with you, and have, what if in cases, is it triggering? Is it too restrictive? Is it too close to home? Is it something that you're moving away from and that's not going to serve you? Then definitely, at every turn, look after yourself and your mental health. So that's that part. I hope you found that useful. And for the next segment, which is, I think I keep on changing the name each week. I can't remember. I must write down what to say, actually. So I have a bit of consistency and sound somewhat professional. Yeah, I don't. We're gonna get there, everybody. We're gonna get there. We're only seven episodes in, so we're gonna get there. So from lessons from the counselling classroom today, I'm gonna actually just elaborate a bit more on last week's lessons from the classroom, and talk to you a bit more about DBT, Dialectical Behaviour Therapy. I said last week that it was something that you could only do with a therapist or somebody that was trained in that modality. However, I have been checking and doing a bit of research on good old Google, and I've come across a workbook, an exercise workbook that you can do by yourself if you can't find somebody who could support you, or you can't afford it, or you don't have the time for it, or you just fancy having a look at it, to be honest. And some very exciting news about it. I was able to download the whole book for free. But for me, it's not going to be as a dyslexic person, I only listen to audibles. However, if you're somebody who's great at reading on Kindle and you don't mind it, then definitely by all means I'll put the link. I will put it underneath my podcast information, and you can definitely download it, have a read, and see if you can work through it. So behavioral dialectical behaviour therapy, I did explain very briefly what it was last week, and it's something that I'm really interested in, and I am very excited about learning and practicing for myself, and then practicing with clients in the future. But it's ultimately about learning, how to deal with those strong emotions that lead to overeating, using that wise mind, so making that connection with the Eastern philosophies of mindfulness, and using commitment, committing to you, to the whole you, and learning to be kind, but work through whatever that's going on for you. What are those triggers? What environmental influences is leading to overeat? It's about emotional regulation. It's about wanting to make change, but then being okay with accepting yourself today, but still wanting to move forward and make change. And those two may, sound, well, do you want me to accept myself, or do you want me to change myself? But with this therapy, it's about, okay, right now we're gonna accept where we are, and that's fine, and we are worthy, and everything's fine. And however, we can still work towards a meaningful goal. We can still work towards something that we want for ourselves in the future. So learning in real life, when things are happening, when when everything's going haywire, how do you manage those strong, overwhelming feelings, and what are your what's in your toolbox? What's in your arsenal? What have you got that you can pull out to protect and safeguard your weight loss? It's not even just about weight loss, but if you are somebody who's who's concerned about binge eating, and you are self-sabotaging, or you are constantly falling back into that unhelpful pattern where you go and eat, for example, you don't eat all day, and then you end up having a binge, and then you go through that cycle of self-hatred, and it will stop you from doing that. It will enable you to be able to not get, like a pilot. Somebody else used to use this analogy, which I thought was great, using for example, if you looked on one of those maps, and there's a journey, somebody's flying from one destination to another, it looks like the airplane is just going to go straight line. But if you really zoomed in, it'll be all over the place. It will rail a bit there, a bit here and a bit there, but it will ultimately make it to its destination. So with us, it's fine. We're going to fall off, but we don't want to fall off too far from our destination. We want to be able to get right back on it, get right back on that, so we can arrive on time or close. We don't want to be too late, right, on arrivals, because everybody's waiting for us on the other side, and we've got to go and sit by the pool somewhere luxurious. So there is a book. There's actually a couple of books, but this particular book is called the Dialectical Behaviour Therapy Skill Workbook. Practical DBT exercises for learning mindfulness, interpersonal effectiveness, emotional regulation, and distress tolerance. The book is by, I will write all the names down actually. The names will be at the bottom, so you can you can hopefully download that, or you can get the book and read that. Ultimately, I think this is best done with a professional who could guide you, who could support you on this journey, because it's not going to be an easy journey. So if you can access that, then definitely go and access it. I'm going to learn more about it, and then every time I learn more, I'm going to run back and share it with everybody. And I hope it's helpful some way, even if you support somebody in the tiniest of ways. I will be absolutely delighted. So, yep, that's it. And this week's food for thought. So, in this segment, I'll definitely write it down so I remember. Anyway, just I make myself laugh. So at least, I guess if I can't make anybody else laugh, as long as I make myself laugh. And my one listener, I actually have a listener from America. I looked at my numbers and 1% of listeners are from America. So, hello, my American listener. I see you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Get in touch. Tell me about who you are. And yeah, it would be lovely because, it's quite lowly here. But anyway, so today in the world of social media and bariatric surgery community, this one is a bit sad actually, and I thought, I don't know if it's appropriate to discuss it or not, and I had I don't know, I've kind of toyed with the idea whether to do it or not, but I think it's something that's important for people. So if you're somebody who comes across this podcast in the years to come and you are considering weight loss surgery, don't let this scare you or deter you from having weight loss surgery wherever you like in the world. But please do your research, because this week in the news there was a young lady that went to have surgery abroad, and sadly she lost her life. And these are stories that are appearing more and more, and this could just be because I'm just so aware. I'm so in tune with anything to do with the bariatric community. I'm in it. I'm not far from it. So maybe just that bias that I think that it's around us a lot more, it's happening a lot more. But please, every surgery is a risk, and for me, it's definitely been a worthwhile risk. But do your research, and if you're in England, they've done BBC Three had covered a documentary about weight loss surgery abroad, mainly in Turkey at the moment, because that's majority of people in the UK go to Turkey, and I know in America it's places like Mexico. But do your research. Surgery is not something to be taken lightly. It doesn't matter where you're having it. Look after yourself. If somebody's happy to get back to you within half an hour and tell you that surgery can be booked for next week, really, really run a mile. The person needs to meet with you, really have a comprehensive conversation about your health, your needs, your medication. You need to see human beings. You need to, as much as you can, do a recce to see where you're going to be having the operation, who are the people, who are they registered with, what information, what reviews are out, out there about them. Be diligent, and really look after yourself, advocate for yourself, and don't take any risks that are, not worth it, right? It's better to be fat and alive in my books. But I know, sorry, I'm making light of it, but it's really important that we look after ourselves, because we put us, we already have so many complications in our body. I think it's the person that needs to work on our bodies. It needs to be somebody who's trained, who's adequately equipped to be able to do that kind of operation. And that's why we pay, a lot of money to go and have these operations. So the service needs to be of a decent standard, if not a fantastic standard, before you go and part with your money and trust your life. I want to say charlatan, but no, a lot of these people are trained. But online, it seems to be very easy for you to be able to, book surgery via text. That is mind-boggling, and that is it sounds really unsafe. So my heart goes out to that young girl and her family. Don't be scared, but you have conviction in those decisions that you make. That's it for today, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope you have a blessed week, and thank you for joining me. I'll see you next week. I appreciate you for being here with me. I hope you got some value from this episode. If so, please give me a review. It will make me super happy and support others from our community to find the podcast. Share it with your Barry bestie. Connect with me on Instagram at Gastric Mindset. It'll be wonderful to hear from you.